I'm so hungry right now, and I know exactly what I want.
One dumpling, please. Dragon warrior size.
So I decided to try to make a dumpling dragon warrior size. I ended up trying to make 3 different weights for this recipe. 2 of them are dumplings and the third one is a baozi. For the dumpling wrapping, we need to mix 1 teaspoon of salt and 250 grams of flour. Slowly add the liquid. The only difference for the recipe is that the water I use for the baozi has 3 grams of sugar and 5 grams of active dry yeast. Start mixing. When it's kind of compacted, start to knead. You will need to knead for 10 minutes because we need to activate the gluten. So we need to knead a lot. It's so soft and squishy, just like paw. Then leave it aside for 45 minutes. Meanwhile, make the filling. First, the seasoning. For that, I'm going to make a Chinese 5 spices by using 1/3 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 anise, 1/8 of a teaspoon of coriander, 5 cloves, and half a teaspoon of Szechuan pepper. With this thing that I personally only know it as mortero, I'm going to crush the spices until they look like dust. Here, I wish I could do a skadoosh to the spices because it takes a lot of time until you get them to look as fine as powder. Put the spices in a bowl, then add 60 milliliters of soy sauce with 50 milliliters of oyster sauce and 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. Then mix the spices. After that, grate 2 garlic cloves and 1 tablespoon of ginger. Add all to 400 grams of pork meat. Chop 4 scallions and add them to the meat. Then you can add any other vegetable. I added this one that is bok choy, but you can also use cabbage or something like that. Then back to our dough. For the dumplings, you want the dough to be stretchy, so when you press it, it bounces back. But for the baozi, you want to try making a hole in it, and if the hole stays, it's ready. Make a ball with the dough and press it with your hand. When it's lightly flat, start to roll it up. The rolling pin should not go all the way to the center, because we need the center of the dough to be a little bit thicker so it can be like a floor for the filling. If this part is too thin, the filling will break it. When it has a size of a medium-sized pizza, like the one from Domino's or something like that, add the filling. For one of the dumplings and for the baozi, I decided to put the raw meat directly. That is usually how I would do it for a regular sized dumpling or baozi. But I was afraid that the meat wouldn't fully cook, so for one of the dumplings, I decided to previously cook the meat and then wrap it with the dough. Now it's time to close it. I can pick it up like I would do with a regular sized dumpling, so I will make the pleats here in the table. In theory, I need to pinch the dough. Make 1 pleat, then hold the pleat with my thumb and gently press the filling. Then make the next pleat and repeat. Well, please be patient with me because I suck at making the pleats, and well, I think it looks good enough, but I really need to practice. After the pleats are all done, twist the excess to the top and get rid of the excess. Pinch everything together. Now this is ready to go to the steamer. To put it on the steamer, I cut some parchment paper on a circular shape and make some holes in it so the steam can get to the dumplings. Put the parchment paper inside of the steamer, then in goes the dumpling and the baozi. Then I will put the steamer inside a wok, but you can use a pot or a pan if it's big enough. Pour hot water. So it doesn't matter if the steamer is touching the water, just make sure that the floor of the steamer where you're going to put the dumplings or baozi is not touching the water. Here I'm showing you without the baozi, and after that I will put the real one in to get cooked. Here is one other difference between the baozi and the dumplings. For the baozi, you will leave it inside of the steamer without turning on the stove for 10 minutes. That for the baozi to rise a little bit more. On the other hand, for the dumplings, you will turn on the stove on high heat. Wait until you see steam getting out of the steamer. Then lower the temperature to medium-low and let it cook for 20 minutes. After the 30 minutes have passed for the baozi, to cook it, do exactly the same once the time has passed for the dumplings and the baozi. Get them out of the heat. Now let's try it. First, the dumpling with the cooked meat. Yeah, I know, it doesn't look like the one on the movie, but it's absolutely delicious, but not exactly how I wanted it to look like. So for dumpling number 2, well, yes, this one looks a lot more similar to the one in the movie. Just look at the size. It's pretty big. The only thing I have similar to the size of a bunny is my lovely dog. Comparing it to my little dog, I would say it gets pretty similar to the size shown on the movie. I know it looks like torture making my baby be so close to something that smells so good, but don't worry, I gave him some meat treats after he helped me taking this shot. I can only eat this dumpling like a hamburger. Just look at it compared to my dog and my face. Finally, the baozi. This one also looks similar to the one on the movie and is also dragon warrior size. Just look at that. It's almost the size of my face. Taking a bite just like a hamburger because it's just too big to eat it any other way. The 3 of them are similar to the one in the movie, but I don't know which one I like the most. So what do you think?